Here's our flying horror story in trying to get home from Florence, Italy to Cleveland, Ohio. On Tuesday, June 27th, we were due to fly from Florence, Italy to Zurich to Chicago to Cleveland. We woke up at 3 a.m. that morning to find a text message that said our flight from Zurich to Chicago had been canceled due to technical issues. We went ahead and still flew to Zurich, and when we arrived, we had still not received any information about being rebooked. We spoke to customer service, and they were able to get us on a flight from Zurich to Frankfurt, from Frankfurt to Dulles in DC. And once we were in Dulles, we would have to do an overnight stay before we could get another flight out the next morning to Cleveland. When we landed in Frankfurt, we had to run to our next flight in order to make it. Fortunately, we did make it. Because our flight had been canceled due to a United problem, they were providing us with hotel vouchers so we wouldn't have to pay for the hotels. But we had not heard anything about the hotel vouchers, so we went and stood in line to speak to somebody, and we were in line for about an hour and a half. By the time we actually got up to a ticket agent, it still took another half an hour to actually get the hotel vouchers in our hands. We then went down to the area to catch the hotel shuttle, and the first shuttle that showed up 20 minutes later was too full for us to get on, so we had to wait for the next one. We really should have just called a taxi. Next hotel shuttle showed up, and the same thing, there wasn't enough space. But fortunately, another hotel that was really close by, they had a shuttle and they took the rest of the people. We get to the hotel and there's a really long line to check in because so many people had been experiencing canceled flights. We woke up at 4 a.m. the next morning to catch our 8:30 flight to Cleveland. We're walking to our gate at the airport, we get a text message that our flight to Cleveland has also been canceled. We then stood in a really long line to speak with another agent. Fortunately, we were able to speak with an agent inside one of the clubs, and it had a much shorter line. They told us that they could not confirm us on a flight until 10 p.m. the following night.
Nope.
We had no interest in staying in DC, so we decided that we were just going to rent a car and drive home. We get out to the rental car place, and when Kevin finally gets up to the counter, they initially tell him that they don't have any more cars. They said that they put his name at the top of the list, and when more cars come in and they're ready to rent, he'll be the first to know. So we're outside the rental car place trying to figure out what we're going to do when somebody comes out and says something to the effect of they're actually now renting cars again. So Kevin goes back in and says, hey, I was at the top of the list and supposed to get notified. So they helped him next. We finally got a car and then finally made the 6-hour drive home. On top of all of that, our 2 checked bags were still in Europe. The only reason I knew that is because of my Apple AirTags, which if you aren't using Apple AirTags in your checked luggage, you really need to.